You've been lied to, not once, not twice, but in ways so subtle, you probably thank the person doing it. The most dangerous manipulators don't shout. They don't threaten. They don't even argue. They reshape your reality and let you believe it was your idea. Welcome to DarkMind Academy. Most people think deception is about telling lies. It isn't. It's about engineering perception. And once you understand how perception is engineered, you'll never see conversations the same way again. Humans are wired for trust. If we weren't, society would collapse. Every time someone speaks to you, your brain makes a silent assumption. This is probably true. You don't interrogate every sentence. You don't demand proof for every claim. You rely on shortcuts, mental efficiency, social cooperation, and manipulators understand that better than you do. They don't fight your intelligence. They recruit it. They let your mind complete the narrative. They drop fragments and allow your assumptions to stitch them together. The result feels natural, logical, self-generated. That's why deception doesn't require brilliance. It requires timing. It requires emotional calibration. It requires understanding which cognitive bias to activate at the right moment. Confirmation bias keeps you loyal to stories that match your worldview. Authority bias makes you relax when confidence is displayed. Emotional attachment bias makes you protect people you feel connected to. And once a false narrative aligns with something you already want to believe, you don't just accept it, you defend it. The most effective lie is the one you participate in building. At first glance, deception looks crude. Bold lies, fake achievements, inflated stories. The obvious fabrications are almost theatrical. Someone claims power they don't have, wealth they never earned, experience they never lived. Confidence carries it, because most people equate certainty with truth. But bold lies are noisy. They draw attention. They create friction, and friction creates scrutiny. So the more advanced form becomes quieter. Instead of inventing reality, the manipulator edits it. They remove pieces. They let you assume the rest. I was out with friends. Simple, calm, technically accurate, but incomplete. Your brain fills in the missing context. You imagine safety, innocence, normalcy. And when doubt arises later, the response is airtight. I never lied. And they're right, in the narrowest possible sense. But deception doesn't require false words. It only requires a false impression. That's where implication becomes powerful. Literal truth, distorted meaning. Statements crafted not to deceive directly, but to guide interpretation. The manipulator doesn't need to push you. They position the frame and let you walk into it. And if you question the frame, the shift happens instantly. You misunderstood. Now you're defending your comprehension. You're explaining your interpretation. You're trying to prove that what you heard is what they meant. Control has quietly changed hands. Over time, this subtle shifting accumulates. Small distortions compound. Minor omissions stack. And eventually the landscape of reality itself feels unstable. That's when something even more insidious emerges. Memory distortion. You're remembering it wrong. That's not what I said. You're overreacting. You're too sensitive. At first, it feels irritating, then confusing, then destabilizing. Repetition turns doubt into habit. You begin replaying conversations in your head, questioning your tone, your memory, your emotional response. You start asking yourself whether you misinterpreted something that once felt clear. And once someone can make you question your own perception, they don't need to argue anymore. They've shifted the battlefield from facts to feelings. This isn't just deception. It's narrative dominance. Because when your internal compass weakens, external guidance becomes irresistible. Manipulators also control scale. They inflate what benefits them and shrink what harms them. Their success stories grow in magnitude. Their mistakes shrink into irrelevance. A betrayal becomes a misunderstanding. A pattern becomes one bad day. Your emotional calibration adjusts accordingly. If something feels small, you dismiss it. If something feels grand, you admire it. And over time, your sense of proportion aligns with their framing rather than objective reality. Then comes identity deception. Not lies about events, lies about self. manufactured vulnerability, carefully curated backstories, selective disclosures designed to create sympathy, emotional performances that appear spontaneous but follow a predictable script. Once you believe someone's character, you reinterpret their behavior through that belief. If they seem kind, their aggression becomes stress. If they seem honest, their inconsistency becomes confusion. If they seem wounded, their manipulation becomes trauma response. The mask protects itself because you protect it. And the most unsettling part? Many manipulators don't see themselves as villains. They rationalize. They justify. They reframe their own behavior as necessary, protective, strategic, deserved, which makes them more convincing. Most people believe they can detect deception. They look for eye movement, nervous gestures, shaky voices. But experienced deceivers are not necessarily anxious, especially those low in empathy. For them, deception doesn't trigger guilt in the same way. It becomes neutral, tactical, even stimulating. So your instincts fail you. And when instincts fail, confusion fills the space. That confusion is reinforced by intermittent truth, occasional honesty, moments of transparency, brief admissions that reset suspicion. Just enough truth to maintain credibility. If someone lies constantly, you detach. If someone lies inconsistently, you hesitate. And hesitation buys time. Time allows patterns to deepen. When suspicion finally surfaces and confrontation occurs, another transformation happens. The conversation flips. Why are you attacking me? Why are you always looking for problems? You're imagining things. Now the focus isn't on their behavior. It's on your reaction. Emotional reversal is powerful because it triggers self-doubt. And self-doubt reduces confrontation. It softens accusations. It shifts tone from firm to apologetic. The manipulator doesn't need to win the argument. They only need to destabilize you long enough for certainty to erode. So why does this pattern appear more often in certain personalities? Because empathy slows deception. Empathy introduces internal friction. It creates discomfort when causing harm. When empathy is low and self-interest is high, that friction weakens. The moral cost of distortion decreases. Some deceive strategically for long-term gain. Some deceive impulsively for stimulation. Some exaggerate to preserve self-image. Different motives, same structure, perception control. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Cognitive shortcuts are universal. No one is immune. Intelligence doesn't eliminate bias. Experience doesn't eliminate emotional vulnerability. Awareness doesn't eliminate attachment. Which means the real defense is not ego, it's observation. Observe patterns, not promises. Watch consistency over charisma. Slow down urgency. Urgency pressures decision-making, and pressure benefits the one shaping the narrative. Document what feels inconsistent. Compare words to actions. Remove yourself emotionally long enough to evaluate behavior without distortion. And if patterns persist, understand this. Chronic deception is rarely corrected through argument. It's corrected through distance. Disengagement is not weakness. It is clarity. Deception exists in relationships, workplaces, friendships, social hierarchies. It isn't rare. It's human. But the difference between vulnerability and resilience is perception. Innocence feels safe. Awareness is safer. The goal isn't paranoia. It's calibration. It's recognizing when perception is being steered. It's noticing when confusion feels artificially induced. It's detecting when your certainty is eroding without clear cause. Because once you see how reality can be subtly engineered, you become harder to engineer. Most people listen to what is said. You will observe what is structured. Most people react to tone. You will analyze patterns. Most people defend emotionally. You will detach strategically. And once you operate from pattern recognition rather than emotional momentum, deception loses its efficiency. Not because it vanishes, but because it stops slipping past you unnoticed. The world will not suddenly become honest, but you'll become harder to destabilize. And that shift changes everything. If this kind of psychological clarity sharpens your awareness, subscribe to DarkMind Academy. Comment below. I see the pattern. Because the moment you begin seeing patterns instead of performances, you step out of the illusion. Welcome to the real game. Welcome to DarkMind Academy. And now, you see differently.